My mom told me not to talk to strangers on the internet, but I'm glad I didn't listen. We are the Certified Nunas, your sisters in the love of Asian entertainment.
Hi, I'm Amanda.
I'm Jessie.
I'm Natalia.
And I'm Sky.
And today, we're taking a journey to the magical world. Not really. It's just to the world of Japan in their movies. Specifically, the movie Bleach. A live-action adaptation of the manga and anime of the same name. I know that two of us are big anime fans, which is Jessie and I. But I don't know if y'all, the rest of y'all, are into anime in any way.
I don't know. Is like Avatar considered anime? Because
No.
I like that.
Who doesn't though? Who doesn't?
Okay.
I haven't seen Avatar yet.
What?
Oh, I think you would love it. Oh my
I
gosh.
would love it.
Yeah.
You
I
know, it's one
would
of those, like, once you
love
get in,
it.
you have to watch them all.
Oh, no,
Pretty much.
like, you
But,
would
like,
be in it to
My
win it.
8-year-old
Yeah,
has
you
just
wouldn't
gotten
want
into
to,
it, and he, like, the rest of us all watched it years ago together as a family when he was too little to, like, pay any attention to it. So now he's watching it, and he's, like, totally addicted. First thing in the morning, can I watch my show? Comes home from school. Can I watch my show?
Good.
Can I watch my show? Can I watch my show?
Oh.
Dude, like, take it down a notch. You gotta, like, relax.
But to be real, the avoid the live action movie. It's pure garbage.
100%,
The
yeah.
show.
I enjoyed the live action movie.
What
I
I
gotta
hated,
say, it
what
was
I
a
hated
fine
about the
movie.
live
Was it
action movie.
Was it the animated show? No, it was not. But as a movie, it was fine.
My problems with it were, it was, one, extremely boring. Two, they made all the good people white
Yes.
and the bad people Dev Patel.
All the bad people were Dev Patel.
Well, basically it was Dev Patel and then the Canadian comedian. I forget what his name is right now, but he's real funny. But Indian people. They were all Indian, were the bad
What's weird
people.
about that is that it was directed by an Indian guy. So,
Yeah,
like,
it was
it's
really,
not like...
it was really weird. Like, for a show that was, like, clearly based on, like, Asian mythology and, like, Asian imagery, the fact that the only Asian people were bad or slaves, because they had a couple Chinese earthbenders, but they were slaves. Not a good look, America.
No, that is
Not
true.
a good... And it was just so boring. It was like, and the earth,
It was-
like, the bending was so stupid. It was so slow and boring, and I'm like, this sucks. And I feel like we got hoodwinked by the preview, because I remember seeing the preview for it, and it looked so good, but they didn't, like, show you anything. All they showed was, like, the back of Aang's head, or Ong, if we're watching, like, for some freaking...
yeah. That was...
Like, the back of his head, and then, like, he was looking out, and then all the Fire Nation ships were coming in, and, like, they were sending, like, fire boulders, and I was like, oh, this is going to be tight, and then I saw it, and I was like, that was not tight.
I don't remember that preview.
It was a really good, anyway, it was like the teaser preview, but the TV show. Mwah.
So, about 6 months or a year before I got into Asian dramas, I did start watching anime. I think the way it happened was there is a manga section at my local library, and I stumbled across that, and I stumbled across Library Wars, the manga. And so then I went searching for the anime and then the live action movies. So I went down that hole really fast. And then I went, Netflix anime, finding which ones were cute and would suit my taste and all that. And then Cowboy Bebop.
Oh,
A classic.
classic.
And so I guess, and I hadn't really put it together until, like, somewhat recently, that was my first exposure to a Japanese movie, of course, since I watched the live action movies of that. I found a lot of anime I liked, and so that was kind of my first foray into the Asian entertainment, any of that stuff. So that was way late compared to, like you guys, when, you experienced that way sooner than I did.
Oh, as a child. As a child.
Back in the day.
Back in the day. I'm going to be on, like, the first anime. This is, like, real inappropriate. The first anime I ever watched, it was the movie. I was probably, I was little. I was not old enough to be watching this. Was Ghost in the Shell.
Oh my gosh, I did too. Did you watch it on MTV? Because they used to play it on MTV.
No, my sister had it on VHS. Our cousin had a Japanese exchange student who's still really close with them. And so he had mailed her for Christmas a copy of Akira and a copy of Ghost in the Shell on VHS. And Ghost in the Shell, the original film, is real fucked up. Like it's like a really disturbing movie. And so as a small child, I can say that and the other thing that I watched before I should have was Neon Genesis Evangelion has really like made me the messed up person I am today. Actually, my husband just watched Neon Genesis Evangelion and he was like really enjoying it, and then he got to the last episode and he finished and he was like, "What?" I just watched. And I was like, yes.
You're like, yeah, that's how, you're part
When
of
you
us all
guys
now.
said inappropriate and MTV, that reminded me, I used to watch Aeon Flux.
Yeah, they had that, and they had like Bubblegum Crisis on there too.
Yeah.
Like, really.
Which, I mean,
late.
technically, I wasn't watching on MTV. I was watching on Much Music, but you know,
same
difference.
Like when I was probably late middle school, I didn't have a television at my house because we lived in the middle of the country. Like we had a TV, but there wasn't any channels because like we lived in the middle of nowhere and there were no channels. So we could watch VHSs, but that was it. But I was staying at my grandmother's house in the States, and she had Cartoon Network, late night Cartoon Network, and there was this show that remains one of my favorite animes, despite the fact that it is dumb as hell, and it was called Tenchi Universe, and it's on Crunchyroll if anyone wants to go watch it. It's real cheesy, but like super fun. No, I loved anime. Like me and anime, Rail War, that's another good one that's on Crunchyroll. It's a newer one, but what I love about anime is like they will make stories out of just the dumbest stuff, and it'll be just so delightful.
I've been tempted to watch that one because it feels like Library Wars to me.
It's like real innocent. Like there's nothing like objectionable, but like it's fun. I remember I read a lot of manga too, and my dad would buy them for me because he would be like, "Oh, comic books, it's appropriate for kids."
No.
Oh no.
Not always.
I've actually always had a wondering about the accessibilities of manga, like back when we were younger and stuff. Just because since I wasn't around it at all, but since back then it was hard for you guys to watch English subtitled anime, but it was possible to get English translated manga easily.
It was not like super easy. Barnes and Noble really did kind of like provide an outlet for people, especially because they started to get big into the graphic novel section, and when Barnes and Noble kind of picked up with that, they started to pick up manga. But it was definitely hard, and you definitely had to be in favor of one of the bigger shows. Like, so if you're like a Sailor Moon fan, you're going to find it no matter what. But if you're like me, who's like, I like Escaflowne, I like all the other shows that are not in here.
Gundam Wing.
Yeah. Gundam. Favorite Gundam
Wing.
is 8th MS Team. Hands down, 8th MS
Gundam
Team.
is like just
my favorite.
Gundam Seed was mine.
Because of Cartoon Network, I did watch a little bit of Sailor Moon and Dragon Ball Z. I had no clue what was going on with Dragon Ball Z though. Like I could never figure it out.
None of us know what was
took too long to do anything.
Yeah,
it takes 4 episodes to do stuff. You're like, this is
one
boring.
thing.
It's like watching One Piece. It's been going on for so long that like if you haven't already been a part of it, like you ain't gonna know what the hell's going on, and it's gonna take you like a year to catch up.
Yeah, you have to like.
It was like yay friendship and pretty outfits and swirling. Like I mean, it was pretty obvious what was up.
Yeah. I mean, Sailor Moon was kind of easy. Like it was very, at least the way they were cutting it for North American television, it was very like one-off, like bad guy, and we defeated them, and now we're on to the next episode. You know,
they cut out all the good stuff.
Yeah, they really did cut out everything.
Yeah, they cut out anything that they think that white parents would be slightly objectionable, which was.
I mean, they basically turned it into a North American comic, like cartoon, right?
A kid's show.
Fine for what it became hugely popular, and
that's true.
Many people then graduated from that into like other anime and
Yeah,
stuff. So.
yeah. In my hometown, if we're talking about manga, in my hometown, the used bookstore was also the only comic book store. So, well, the town next to my hometown didn't have anything. But the nearest city to my hometown, the only comic book store was also the used bookstore. So I would go with my dad, and because he would buy all his books there, because he loved reading, like, crime, like James Patterson, whatever, that sort of. So he would say, yeah, you could buy whatever book you want. So as most comic book stores were at the time, it was run by pervy men, shall we say? So the manga, there was a lot of Ken Akamatsu. Now, if you don't know who Ken Akamatsu is, he is the one manga artist that they always drag out and don't really tell him what they're interviewing him about every time they have an interview about, are they sexualizing young girls in manga, like in Japan? He's always the guy that they pull out who it's very clear he does not know what he's being interviewed about, because he wouldn't agree to it if he did, because basically all these interviews make him look like he's just a total pedophile, which he's not. He's just an artist. So the one that he wrote that I own the entirety of, the manga and anime, is called Love Hina. It's like harem anime. You know what I mean? There's a lot of like boobs with no nipples, and like and if they're naked, there'll be like a cloud of mist,
Yeah.
over the genitals. So my dad had no idea what I was reading. And one day was just like reading over my shoulder, and he's like, "What the hell is that?" I was like, "You bought it for me."
How old were you?
Probably 14, maybe.
Okay.
Okay. So not like what you weren't
So not like
7 or
8.
something like.
I read Clan of the Cave Bear when I was like 8. Like, this was nothing,
I don't really have a favorite manga because I didn't really buy a lot of it, because I'd rather spend my money on the anime. Because when I got into anime, it was before Cartoon Network had it. So I had to scour the internet for message boards of people fan subbing VHSs. So it wasn't even like I could get like a produced thing for a ridiculous amount. At that time, there wasn't any. And it's not like it was an option to download an entire episode on the line. Like, that just wasn't where we were at. Like, it would take 40 minutes to download a song. A full anime episode wasn't going to happen. No. So I definitely had to do that and I do know that a lot of my friends with the manga, we went to conventions a lot, and that's where you definitely got most of your stuff.
So since I lived in the middle of nowhere, our internet, up until about 4 years ago, was dial-up internet, and it was slow as hell. So, but I had a hookup because I was friends with all the nerdy boys who enjoyed anime and had faster internet connections than I did. So this was not my purpose with making friends with them. This was just a beautiful side benefit that happened for me. I would just be nice to them, I would bring them snacks and play D&D with them and give them advice on talking to women, since they were a little terrified of doing so. And in return, out of the goodness of their hearts, they would just supply me with burned DVDs and burned CDs of anime with fan subs. It was lovely. But I just want to say on the record, that was not my purpose in befriending them. My purpose in befriending them was to play D&D. But
get the alternate purpose right.
But like, listen, I need to point this out. None of us have actually watched. Have you watched the anime for Bleach, Jessie?
I've watched about 2 episodes. See, this is actually my problem with most anime. I don't like most of the mainstream stuff that people like. So now it's like super easy to find anime because of Netflix. But when I was into anime, like, I was barely able to find anything because I wasn't into it. And so Bleach is in that category. It's a little too hyper and a little too humorous for me. And I just, it's like fine if you like it, but that sort of thing, which is like 95% of anime, I couldn't deal with. So I only watched 2 episodes of it. It was also like when Bleach came out, I think it was like my senior year of college or like close in that area. And at that time I was not watching anime or anything because I was a theater major in college and had like an outside job. So I couldn't watch anything like at all even if I wanted to, you know. I would like sleep for 3 hours a night. So it definitely, like, I watched it later when it came on, like, Netflix, but just wasn't into it.
Yeah, I have a sister, the sister who introduced me to Ghost in the Shell. She really likes Bleach, but it's also not really, like...
I could see liking it. Like, I really enjoyed the movie, and I would, like, if they made sequels or if it was a TV show or something, I'd totally watch it. Because, I mean, superhero thing, and it was kind of... I don't know. It was good.
It's definitely not at the humor that the live action is like.
It's
much like tones down. It's pretty drastic. Completely different than the.
Yeah, right after I finished watching the movie, I put on the first episode of the anime just because I was curious. It was interesting how. I mean, they took like blow for blow a couple of the scenes, so I thought that was interesting. But yeah, definitely the humor was like, oh, we're in anime humor land again.
Yeah, like my animes are like, I like Escaflowne as like my top one, and then like Zero Experiments Lane and Ava and like Utena, like where like if they have funny moments, it's here and there, but the weirder they get and the more like psychological they get, that's where I really like. And I also just I'm a big fan of mechas, so any.
My two favorites are Full Metal Panic and Full Metal Alchemist, which you would think are in the same universe, but they are very much not in the same universe. They are very different shows.
Full Metal Panic.
Full Metal Panic is so good. It's like
and
one
it's
of
really
my
silly
favorites.
too.
Well, it's like Full Metal
Half and
Panic.
half.
Full Metal Panic takes you on a ride because it starts out and it's like just shenanigans, and then it goes like a deep dive into like not shenanigans. Like, oh no, this is not. And then it comes back and it's like, oh, we over that now. We back to shenanigans. We gonna go to the beach. We gonna like, you know, we just gonna be silly. We gonna blow stuff up. And then all of a sudden it takes like an even. They send him to the desert, and it takes like the most depressing turn that you've ever seen. Like. Because, like, it seems like you're like, okay, that was just, like, a weird bump where we were, you know, in the Baltics being depressing. But it's like, no, they sent him to the desert, and suddenly you're like, oh, no. Like, this got dark. This got so dark. And it's interesting, because Full Metal Alchemist is kind of the same way, but does not get as dark as Full Metal Panic does. But those, I like robots and things blowing up, and
there's some good ones. Like there's some fantasy ones that are really good, like Record of Lodoss War. If you're into like high fantasy, that's probably where you're gonna find things for Japanese entertainment, and like, you know, reincarnation stuff like Please Save My Earth, which is an incredible show. But like, I was always into that, or you know, a classic Vampire Princess Miyu, which I mean, if you know me and know my love for like Hotel de Luna, you know why I like Vampire Princess Miyu.
I always liked like the silly ones. I like being silly. I think.
Really?
I don't know. This is like a shock.
Sure?
This is a shock to anyone who's listened to this or anyone who knows me in any capacity. I always kind of like the silly ones. So I'd probably enjoy the anime for Bleach, is what you're telling me.
You probably would.
I like silly nonsense, and silly nonsense is a lot of anime.
If you don't like it, just send it to me, and if I don't like it, I'll send it to you. Perfect.
Yeah.
We got it. That's true. I can't do that with you.
No, because I like everything. I'm like.
But you know when you kind of don't like something, just because you'll finish it doesn't mean
it's not preferences. It's not.
It'll be like, wow, that was kind of a downer. I'll be like, oh, Jesse,
I'll be totally into it. Is this a psychological trip? Sure. Let me have it.
I feel bad after watching this.
Yeah.
I the dystopian or like urban fantasy ones, kind of, as far as the ones that I ran across. I mean, I watched a fair bit of them. Those
It's
types.
so easy now. Oh my
Okay.
gosh.
I was like, whoa, all these are on Netflix? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, on one hand, it's like I'm like, this is amazing, and then on the other hand, I'm like, this is bullshit.
I look at all of my collection of anime because I still have it all. Like, I would spend like $30 on one volume of a DVD of an anime. That's 4 half-hour episodes. Now I can get all of Serial Experiments Lane at like $10 on DVD, and I'm like, I spent so much money, and I went to conventions nonstop, and I cosplayed. So like, I spent a lot of money on anime.
Yes. Okay, so my first convention I ever went to, I cosplayed as the Count from the manga Hellsing. He never appeared in the anime, and I had at the time I had beautiful long thick black hair, and then I had this beautiful goatee that I put on, and I had like this big ass
a fake goatee to be specific.
Yeah, I
real hair, fake goatee.
I glued the goatee on, and so this was happening in downtown Montreal. Right near Chinatown, and it was in the middle of summer, and there were all of these American tourists, and just everyone was like dressed.
That's the best part of a convention.
So like it was like 100%. Lunchtime, so we were like venturing into Chinatown to go get some lunch, and then we were all in costume. We had all dressed up as characters from Hellsing. We were like a group, but anyway, we're just surrounded by anime cosplayers, and there's just this like white, like corn-fed, like just totally confused, out of their element Americans. One are in Montreal, which is like rude French people, and two are now just surrounded by like weeboos just everywhere. And so this woman, like the woman was like, I don't understand, like what is happening? Like why are all Chinatown's always like. So I just leaned forward and I tapped her on the shoulder. I was like, oh, there's a comic, like there's like a Japanese comic book convention going on. And she turned around, and as she was turning, she goes, oh, thank you for explaining. Oh, you're one of them. Yeah, one of them. I was like, we're actually like normal people with like normal jobs and everything. We just enjoy doing this. Like
we're just creative outlet, okay?
Don't worry about it. And then the next year I went. The next year we went as characters from Legend of Korra, which was the sequel to Avatar. So I went as So my husband went as like the airbender, like the head of the airbending, and then I went as his pregnant wife. And I wasn't pregnant, but I faked it. Pretty good. And this guy, I got the weirdest comment. Like people they make such weird comments to people in costume. And so
other people in costume make weird comments to people in costume, or
regular dude just made a comment. He turns to me and he goes, "Oh, what an appropriate adult costume." And I was like,
cartoons are allowed to be pregnant too.
You were like, adult me? What?
I was like, what does that mean? Like, what's an inappropriate adult You would think that adults would be the ones who could wear whatever they want, and then like I could see like an inappropriate child's costume.
You know what? I was just looking on Netflix, and I've actually, when I search anime, I'm like, oh yeah, I watched that, and I watched that, and I like 7 Deadly Sins, and
a little bit of that.
Devil is a part-timer if you like goofy humor.
Guess I dropped it off at like.
That is number 1 for goofy humor in the anime on Netflix. That show is so funny. And then if you want to really just watch sort of, it's funny, but it's also like really nihilistic. One Punch Man is a classic of shenanigan. Yeah. My husband likes that one. That one, it's like, it's funny, but it's not like goofy funny. It's like...
It's actual Japanese humor.
Yeah.
What did you cosplay as, Jesse?
Both from Escaflowne. So one year I was Bond's mom, Valerie, and then there's a character in the movie that's called Sora, and I cosplayed as her. Anime Festival Orlando was there from the very beginning.
Nice.
Yeah. I volunteered. I know Wendy Lee.
I like cosplaying. I think it's fun. Like
it's fun, but it's too time consuming and too
so expensive. It's so expensive. Well, like, if you want your costumes to look good, it's so expensive. If you don't actually care about how they look, it's not that expensive.
It's still time consuming though. Like you'll be like, yeah, sure, this will be okay, and then you're like, the weekend before the convention, you're just like, I wish I had never done this ever. And you're like, it's like 4 a.m. You're like, I still have like 48 hours left on this thing.
Even if you like put your heart and soul into it, there's always like one jackass who's like, oh, it's not accurate to the show. And you're like, it's not accurate to me shoving my like foot up your arse, but I can still try, sir.
Like, I can't speak Japanese. Yeah, it's not accurate.
Really hard on this costume, and you can just go away, sir. But
did you ever hear that story about is it Hugh Jackman going to Comic-Con and walking around in his like full Wolverine and the snark he got from people, you're too short or you're too tall or you're like, and he's like I'm literally him. This is
like,
I'm Wolverine. I am Wolverine.
I got money for this.
I always love like when celebrities like put on disguises and walk through Comic-Con, like Daniel Radcliffe does that all the time, where he wore a Spider-Man costume and just like chilled out. And who was it? Aaron Paul, who wore a mask of what's his face, the other dude from Breaking Bad, and just
Walter White.
He wore a Walter White mask and just like wanted as Walter White, and then he was like,
Mark Hamill wears like a stormtrooper uniform sometimes because
he gets a kick out of it.
The guy from Mythbusters always wears like a Totoro costume, and he just goes around, and so now it's like a game. Everybody like just goes up to everybody who's dressed as Totoro and just sees if it's him or not.
Like that's a smart way to like get around without getting mobbed, right? You can actually like enjoy time. So costumes are fun, man. Don't judge people with costumes. It's like we're just having a good time. We're just out here to have.
Else has like fun things that they do on the side, and nobody complains about them.
Nobody like talks about all these sports fanatics cosplaying as team members when they go to.
I know how much those tickets cost. Like you can shut it.
Yeah.
Like let us all have our own like outside of work thing.
You ain't that special. Like, like you go enjoy your sports ball. Let us enjoy.
I never cosplay as an anime character, but I've always liked doing costumes and stuff. So Halloween time or whatever. I guess the one time I dressed up as a specific character was I was big into VeggieTales, so I did dress as Larry the Cucumber, the pirate who doesn't do anything.
Nice.
It's my hairbrush
right there. The first time I dressed as it, I think I was in junior high school, and I was a library aide. And yes, I did wear it to the library that day. It was a good time. Big goatee, Larry shirt, pretty easy.
My teenage daughter will laugh at my husband and I, and she'll be like, how old is like VeggieTales that you guys know it? And we're like, no, we were like in high school, sweetie.
Yeah, like we weren't children.
For whatever reason,
we enjoyed it.
We loved it.
We enjoyed it ironically, not like with childhood wonder.
Yeah.
No, like VeggieTales.
But the songs, the silly songs were hilarious.
Yeah,
like,
they were really good. Like
they were
I still have I Love My Lips memorized. So yeah.
The buffalo song about like everybody gets a water buffalo, and it's like no, zip it. Nobody gets a water buffalo.
So we're gonna talk about the movie now.
Talk about Bleach, live action Bleach that I think was pretty good.
Are we doing like spoilers right now, or like talk non-spoilers and then?
Let's talk non-spoilers first.
So I think that if you haven't seen the anime or read the manga, you can easily watch this film and understand.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
There were moments, like there were little things, like I wasn't entirely certain at the beginning if that was like supposed to be his dad and his sisters, or if it was like his uncle and his cousins or something. Like I wasn't entirely certain. What the family dynamic was, but it didn't really matter to the story. This is his family, regardless. So
and it very nicely spelled out like everything you need to know. It's like he beats up people who deserve it, and also he can see ghosts. Like it has it written as a title. It's like he sees ghosts. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On.
And I liked how, didn't it say like what he's good at,
Yeah.
Yeah.
he's bad at? Like I liked all the little stats
Yeah.
they gave. I thought it was cute.
That was very like anime-esque. That.
Yeah.
Well,
that
it's definitely like the anime itself. Like they even like used when they were explaining things and it was cut to like the drawings. Those were the same drawings that are in the anime. So that's a really nice little tie-in for the two.
Also, like everyone in this movie, as I was telling them all they can all get it.
It's an
They can all-
attractive cast.
They can all
It
get
is a
like,
very attractive cast.
like you keep waiting for like someone to not be hot. Nope. Everyone's hot.
And of
No.
course, like the main guy, high school student, it's like, no, that guy's
he's
at
like
least
25.
22.
Yeah.
Yeah, high school in air quotes. Like, okay, sure. So like, as adults, we're not, being inappropriate. They're adults as well, just master. They're
also
cosplaying.
But they're not adults in the movie itself. Like the characters are definitely high school.
I'm referring to here the actors playing the characters can all
Are very
get it.
pretty.
They can all get it. Especially Miyavi.
Yabi.
Miyabi.
I had to go look him up. I was like, oh, he's done a ton of
Yeah.
stuff.
Have you-
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
Did you look up like actual like him as a musician?
Yeah, I already
Okay.
listened to it, but I didn't there was like a disconnect
He's
between me enjoying his music.
he's so good.
Yeah,
He's like
great.
one of the best guitarists ever. Like he's
Yeah.
so
Oh,
good.
yeah.
I
Okay.
forgot he was in this movie too, and like
Oh,
he came on.
I
I was
did
like,
not forget. That's the only reason I wanted to watch Bleach was because Miyabi was in it. I was like, oh, hey, I'm going to watch that.
it when it first came out on Netflix, like last
last
yeah, I
year.
think it was like last year.
ever. And I rewatched it literally this morning, and I had forgotten he was in it. And when he appeared, I was like, oh,
Hello there.
So
beautiful hair with like the hair with the weird. Oh, I was like,
But you know what? Okay, for me with Miyabi, one of the things that makes it, I mean, he's very attractive. He is a very attractive person. And like when you watch him play guitar, it's very
No.
sexy. It's very beautiful. But I think what makes him that much sexier is he's happily married with 2 children and they are a beautiful family and he loves his family and like that is just like the icing on the cake. You're just like perfect.
And he's like a legit like really great human being too.
Yeah.
Not like
Yeah.
cool.
But he plays a bad guy.
He does. It's very weird.
But
Okay, not a bad guy exactly.
It's like, are they really bad? Because that's just like,
I mean, they're trying to get things done. They're trying to protect people and
There's
get
a
things done.
thing that they
just
have
got
to
a line.
there's
he's a little
one track.
unnecessarily dickish right at the end.
Yeah, there are.
Like he could have just let it go.
I mean, he's not the bad guy. There are bad guys, like big capital B bad guy demon things running around. So he's not
Capital
that
H.
level, you know. But as people go, not very pleasant.
No, he's but very beautiful, very beautiful, very. Beautiful.
And I mean, he's the only male character who uses a normal sized weapon and it works just fine. Just saying. I'm not saying there is
Amanda
a lot of
has
phallic
a
imagery.
theory. Amanda has a theory. Theory about
It's a
sword
great
size being
tale of
overcompensation.
Sexual awakening. I mean, it's not sexual at all. At all.
No, there's
It is
literally
not sexual at all.
no. There's
It's
not even
very
like a
funny
romance.
that, like, you know, he takes her. There's like things about like the weapons become huge all of a sudden, and you're like, okay, sure.
Amanda,
It's like a big.
It was supposed
know,
to be pure and
fighting.
innocent, Amanda. It was
Yeah.
just because he has a lot of spiritual energy. Stop reading into this. How you dirty dog. No, I really
But
enjoyed it.
no, but honestly, it's very, very innocent. Like you totally watch it with your kids, and
Yeah,
you
there's
just
like there's
all
not
enjoy
even.
it, right?
There's
Like,
I mean, if you're not okay with
Not like
violence like that,
That's the
I
older
would
kids.
say,
Yeah.
like would definitely not be the thing. But it's not like
No.
there's anything else bad. Like
it's
it's just like lots of violence and destruction, but you really only see one death that I think if you're like a younger kid that I could see it being a little bit too much.
And also, it's like it's not like gory violence. Like there's not like a lot of blood. It's very like anime violence.
There's definitely not a lot of blood, like where there should have been blood.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like they're
Yeah.
definitely like they're.
It's more in the
definitely
destruction
realistic.
of things, and
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you do see
I mean,
like
the monsters are creepy. Like
Yeah.
they are creepy
That-
looking.
they were so good in this.
Were.
I wasn't expecting that to be that good and that well done.
Kind
Like-
of almost like smoky shadow monsters, but then they've got these creepy mask faces attached to them, and then
And they're
like,
all
it's
different too, which is
Yeah.
really great. I like.
But-
I know that they do that in the anime too, but I really enjoy that because the whole premise is that these are still they're humans whose souls were bad. So that's the distinction between them. So they're gonna be different. They're not just gonna be like one type of like creature. So I thought that was really great because they still had like, you know, it was like the monster, but there was that face, so that was the unifying thing. But everything else about the creatures were completely different.
So even something as the action, even something as simple as when there was a pitching machine, and in order to do training, they were throwing baseballs at the main character. It looked like he was honestly getting hit with them. So like,
it looked like he was getting beamed.
Yeah.
I really did think like if this was a K-drama, you know, it would cut different, and you would be able to tell like they just faked that.
Yeah.
But like, no, he looked like he was getting hit for real.
I mean,
They were
he
like,
definitely
"You're
trained
20,
for
you
this.
can take it.
Yeah, and when they were doing like the practicing like the kendo and stuff, it looked like that. And when he's dragging the girl when she's sitting on the tire, I think he was actually dragging the girl when she's sitting on the tire. Like,
Okay, like it probably had like wheels and stuff
wheels
in
or
it.
something, but
Yeah. But
When
there was
she
definitely
was like
some
sitting on
realism.
the swing and just reading, it was super cute. Like she's sitting on this swing reading, and it swings on a pulley, and he's got it on his like sword, so he's like strengthening his sword arm by like pulling the sword forward, and
when he's
she's like
attached to,
bouncing
like-
up and down.
when he's attached to like the bungee cords and he keeps trying to run forward and just gets thrown back, like it looked like that hurt.
Well, I mean, the actor has done a lot of like the more high action, live action animes. Like he's been in other stuff too. He's like been in normal, like kind of, you know, rom-com-y J-dramas and stuff. But like I feel like he probably had some training and already had like training in the past too that like really helped this role. That so like a lot of this really is him doing it as opposed to just, you know, tricks. Or at least to an extent that I don't think you would see in other, you know, dramas.
I was impressed by it because a lot of times it was obviously him doing a lot of it.
So there is one thing about the movie that pulled me out of the enjoyment of the movie unintentionally. Not in like
spoiler.
It's not a spoiler.
Okay.
So music is really important in films, and for the most part the music was really good, and were I a native Japanese speaker who did not speak English, this would not have pulled me out of the story. However, when he's in the beginning, he's fighting this demon thing, and right when he kills it, the line that's said during the fight thing is, "You have to drink your milk." And I was just like, what?
I thought it was cute. I thought it was funny.
I was like, wait.
Because it's like this kind of funky sounding song.
Yeah,
so I got
it's like thriving rock, and then it's like, you gotta drink all your milk. And I was like,
I could see that, you know, like strengthening and like, I see their intent.
It pulled me right out of the story, and I just started laughing.
You know, it plays to that humor too, though.
That's
like,
true.
It really, because the anime is just, it's pretty loopy sometimes.
I just thought that was just so funny, just that one line. I was like, if I didn't speak English, like this would not have the same like impact on me as a person. But oh my god, I was laughing so hard.
I was gonna talk about the time jumps. I thought they were interesting the way they did. Starting off seeing him as a kid. And then of course they but then they would jump back once in a while, like kind of unexpectedly. It was
I really liked it, especially with that like mom scene, because that's not the first part of the anime.
No.
So that was really nice.
It was good for the story, and I feel like all the time jump back, like whenever they flash back, they were always scenes of the mom. So you knew immediately. It was like, here's this woman in this white, you know, coat or whatever, and okay, we're back in time again. So like it was nice that way, because visually for those things you could tell. And
it was also I like that it was not so you just remembered it. You started to realize why he kept continuously thinking about the mom and like what that incident, like how it shaped him, and not just a way of losing your mom that young, but like him actually feeling that he was the one to blame.
Yeah.
And like that being his like kind of soul mission like in life was to get back that honor because he failed his family in a sense. And so that like I really like that aspect of those flashbacks.
It definitely, I think the movie, and again, I only watched like 3/4 of the first episode of the anime, but tone wise, when the things that you just said, Jesse, I think it had more gravity. I think the movie had more meaning. It felt like it was more meaning. I'm not saying the anime is not meaningful, but the movie seemed to convey those things a little bit.
Yeah, the anime
better.
probably just like, 20 episodes in, you got it. But like,
right. Yeah, but it's like at the same time, it's like it's a completely different storytelling medium, so it makes more sense that like a 2-hour movie would.
Just like a particular example between the anime and the movie was when they show the picture. So present time of the movie, they cut to where the dad is kind of talking at the big poster of the mom, which in the movie, it's kind of a touching thing for a second. Like it's a serious moment on some
yeah.
Whereas in the anime, it's really dumb. It's not just haha funny. Like the daughter says, you need to get rid of that poster. Like, I mean, they made it way different in the anime. So they definitely made some choices.
Yeah.
In the very specific thing. It's like, oh, let's actually make this a meaningful moment rather than
Yeah, because the dad is like in the movie. The dad he's a lovely character.
Oh,
like
he's
he's
lovely. He's just
lovely.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Like,
He loves
he's
his
such
kids.
a good dad, and he's loving his kids, and he's making them breakfast, and he's giving them pep talks, and like he said something. I was cracking up at the very beginning because it's like breakfast table or dinner or whatever, and he says something, and the daughter goes, "Oh, he's been seeing a lot more ghosts lately." Wait, he tells you this? Yeah, Dad. Like, I wouldn't tell you nothing either because you have the emotional maturity of a 15-year-old, which is funnier when you realize that, like, the kid is supposed to be 15.
Yeah.
But, like,
I think my favorite dad moment was when he's talking to the girl in the closet and the dad comes in and he's like, "Who you got in here?" He's like, "Hello." He's like, okay. No girls. All right.
yeah.
But I did remember.
Don't bring girls over. Oh,
Yeah.
you could bring that girl over. Thanks.
But I do remember about the anime, at least I think it was in the first episode, that they established the hollows pretty fast as something that's going on in Japan. Like it's like explosions or something, and it's like I remember it being immediate in the anime that this was the world that was happening, and so like everybody around was just already experiencing all these like explosions. But in the movie, that's definitely not the case. Nothing's going on until the first initial thing that gets him out, to meet with the girl.
And it felt very targeted to him. It wasn't like, oh, the world is like this. This is what happens.
Yeah.
Like we're dealing with random explosions and we have no idea what they are. Yeah. Like that didn't.
I could kind of see that they were kind of suggesting that in the sense of like the next day when he wakes up and nobody has any memory of it, but there's a big gaping hole in their house and it's like, a car must have driven through our house, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they're almost suggesting, in a sense, they're not making a big deal out of it, but there's some suggestion that, all those weird, inexplicable times when there was an accident of some sort, maybe it was this kind of a thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like on the anime it wasn't that way. Like, so it was definitely like everybody was aware. It's just this weird thing going on that there's these constant explosions, and so people are like very like heightened about that. So that's like a different kind of introduction into it.
I really enjoyed the friend in the classroom where every time he'd be like, Did you hear what happened? Did you go, he died? And then in the background would be like, I didn't die. I'm still alive. And he'd be like, you lived.
It's like, that's a funny device, but like, high schoolers are like that. Like, you're always going to have that.
Oh, they 100% are.
Like, and the girls like fall for it
every single time.
They're like, what? No.
I really loved that high school group. I thought they was just a really great. It was just like solid. It wasn't like what you expected. Like you just thought that like one of them would be catty, or like one of them would be super mean, and it was just like normal kids, like in this thing.
And they didn't take forever to explain that. I mean,
Yeah.
you were able to get the gist that they were like decent kids pretty quick.
Yeah. Well, and even like later, there's a scene where, you know, things explode and stuff happens, and a bunch of them are together in a restaurant or something, and they're like, "Oh, was that this? Yeah, I think that was this. Okay." And then they all like, "Okay, let's get everybody out of here because
they were very big on
like we should work to like, hey, old lady, come on, let's get out of here," you know, like.
And then just like, I need to know more about Chad. What the hell? He just fucking catches that sign and it's like, yeah, and you're like, you don't have powers? Like, who is this guy?
Must be big in the anime.
Towards something.
Yeah, I feel like he's big in the anime, yeah.
Because I feel like there's a couple of seasons or story arcs of Bleach. So maybe he comes back as like Bleach, whatever, reincarnation or whatever it's called, you know?
When I looked up the stuff about the anime, it looks like he doesn't have powers. He's just a big guy. And that's like the power.
His power is just muscle. It's like One Punch Man. His power is just he trained his muscles.
But it does look like, from some of the stuff I saw when I was reading about the characters and stuff, that the anime has a much more sort of almost like a Scooby Gang kind of vibe to it, where
I could see that.
Like
it kind of teased that.
They showed of Chad, he had like a big like shield kind of thing. Like, so I was like, okay, so clearly it's intended that he would be your backup or something down the road. Yeah. This is which they do give a hint of in the very beginning, where he takes on these thugs and Chad has his back unexpectedly from out of nowhere, you know.
And then Hat Dude. We need to know more about Hat Dude. What's up with Bucket Hat?
I would watch more of these movies. Like,
if they made another one, I'd be like, I'm in.
For there to be more potentially.
I can see it in theaters. Like,
Oh, it would have been great in theaters. Like when I was watching, I was like, yeah, this really would have been a really great movie to see in theaters. Like, too bad it's just like on my crappy TV.
Like, I'm trying to push my husband to watch it because I just think he'd enjoy it. Like, even he doesn't have an anime background or anything, but I'm like, I just think you'd enjoy it. I honestly
don't think you need to have an anime or any sort of Asian and watching.
Like, it feels like a popcorn movie. It works.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I think from now on we can do spoilers just in case. So because I want to talk about the Quincy guy. He's really cool, and I want to know more about him.
I know. I literally want more of everything in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
so it makes me want to watch the anime, but like.
But knowing that the anime is going to be completely different is like.
So maybe I will when I'm in.
How much I'm
going
to have to go through it. Yeah.
Mood, but it's not going to be. It is not the same tone.
If the manga is as goofy as the anime, or if the manga would be more, you know what I mean? Like
I feel like if it's like any like other goofy anime, it's gonna like start off and it's gonna be a while before it gets into like heavy stuff, and then you're like, okay, this is cool, but you probably have to go through 10 episodes to get to that part, and there will still be the goofy and then go back to the goofy. It will do that like slow build as opposed to this movie kind of straightforward was like, we're not gonna be goofy in that sense, which I could really
see potentially if this was a TV series or something, I could see them building up like a frenemy bromance between him and like Renji and Miyabi's character, whose name I can't remember because he's just Miyabi, so like
brother.
Evil brother.
Like I could see that becoming a thing where they're like, ugh, we don't really like you, but like you have superpowers too, and we could use your help this time. You know, like some things like that, like where it would grow eventually. I could see that.
I think that this movie could have done very well in theaters in North America. Like, it's nice that Netflix is buying all of these, but like this is a movie that could have really benefited from like a theatrical viewing, because on the big screen this would have looked incredible.
Yeah.
All of the effects, I didn't feel like anything was shortchanged. It was
it looks good.
It worked.
Yeah.
Like I always Avengers level stuff. I mean, it worked.
Yeah, like it I always sort of laugh because when you're watching like C dramas, like the CGI, you're always like,
Yeah.
Oh no. But like the CGI in this was really good. So yeah.
Yeah, and it's just like there are a lot of things that like it just warrants that big of a screen, not just like it just needs to be that big, and you need to have that like surround sound quality, because you could tell even it being brought down and like changed for Netflix that there was like a lot of elements on this, and you're like, oh man, this would have been really good in the theater, like dark theater.
Like that first modern scene where in the evening, like the first big fight scene, you can see it coming, because of the way that the one daughter is standing off closer to the window by herself, and you're like, something's gonna happen, something's gonna happen, something's gonna
the Shining
and when that hand
vibe
comes and grabs her, I jumped. Like, I was like, even though I knew it was coming, when it happened, I didn't expect that somehow, and it was like, what? And I could imagine that in surround sound and like,
the whole theater would have jumped. It was a beautiful jump scare.
It would have been good, like, theater, like, going. You know how, like, some movies you just don't want the, like, reaction of, like, the theater goers around you, but this one, I think, would actually kind of play into it, because everybody would just think it's fun.
So some movies you just want everyone to shut up, but, like, I used to go to this film festival that they would hold. This would have played probably at this film festival in Montreal. It's called Fantasia, and it's a horror fantasy film festival, but they do, like, other stuff, too. And one year I went, and we watched probably the greatest terrible movie that's ever made. It's called Samurai Cop. It's incredibly bad. It's incredibly bad. But, like, the energy of the like, if you were just watching this by yourself, you'd be like, why am I watching this? But, like, the energy in the theater, like, for example, there were all these, like, really cheesy, like, sex scenes with, like, really cheesy, like, 80s sex scene music, and we were all like, woo! Like, just yelling stuff. It was, like, a total chaos, but it was just, mwah. And it would have been the same, like, if we had watched this, like, in the theater, like, at this sort of film festival with people who know that they're coming in to have a good time. Like, it would have been really, like, this would have been fun to watch if we were all together.
Oh, yeah.
I think we could have had a really good time watching this together.
I was also going to say, I thought the little peek we got at the Soul Society felt like kind of an alternate universe type thing. I really wanted to see more of that.
Yeah, definitely.
It's really well done, but I was like, it looks futuristic. What is going on?
We need a sequel.
Yeah.
All the execs at Netflix are listening to our podcast right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Just Netflix.
So, Netflix, y'all should get on this, because this one is,
honestly, Netflix, we should be your consultants. We
can
talk to you about
yeah, totally.
Don't split up K-dramas.
Help
Leave
us
them
help
be,
you.
and give us the sequels that we want. It'll work.
There's at least 3 more Bleach movies waiting to happen.
Yeah, like, it's a long running manga. Like, there's stories there.
I mean, there's 4 animated films, so like. Psh.
Yeah, and it's like the cast was, like, the acting was really good.
The
like,
girl was so good.
Oh,
so good.
So good.
Like, from the second she was on, I was like, I love you. You're like one of my favorite characters.
Ears and like just, she's so cute, but so angry. Like, gloves, just
but
punching
not in
her
that like weird way where you're just like trying to be angry. Like, you actually like she felt that she was, and she was never disgenuine in it. You know, like, you're not like, oh, she's just laying that off just to play it off. No, she just was actually that type of person.
And it wasn't like angry as in just like angry. It was like frustrated. Like, you could feel like that she was embodying a character who is frustrated at all the things that are happening to her right now.
Well, and she would take on all the responsibilities of like the secrets that she was keeping from him, and really what that could mean to her and him. Like, she was a really good character. Like, I wanted to see more. I wanted to see her get her powers back is what I really wanted to see.
Yeah. And Renji, dude with the red hair, you can get it. But, like, more importantly, love him. I think he might be my favorite character just because he's just such a dick. Like, he's just...
he's the worst.
He's the worst, but I love him. And I don't know why. And that stupid headband thing, everything. Just the...
I kept trying to figure out if it was a headband or glasses. Like,
it's like some sort of, like, leather headband.
Weird. Yeah.
He's got, like, sick face tats. Like, he's looking fine as hell.
Miyabi was, like, his character was a dick, too. But, like, he was much more in control of himself. He wasn't being a dick just to be a dick. Renji
he was kind of more, like,
ethereal,
you know, like, he was just, like...
he was
he
like,
kind of
I'm
like
in charge, and
He was
these
like
are
an
the
elf
rules, and
prince.
you just have to follow the
he was
rules.
very like majestic, and like there you just
Yeah.
felt like there's just like always light around him. He's like, you know, you felt that was the
Meanwhile,
magic.
like
Mad.
Renji
He's just
is
angry.
like the Jane. You know, from Firefly, Jane. Renji is the Jane of this universe. Like, he's just a dick.
And
He's
tries to
just
hurt
using
people,
any
and-
opportunity that someone will give him to just be able to be a dick. So,
Because there's absolutely no reason for him to like stab the bow carrying kid at the end. There's no reason for that.
Because they don't look magical, like, you know, they do stuff that's magical, but they don't have like, you know, difference in their appearance really.
No.
I think that's what like drew you back into like the fact that these aren't actually humans, so they're not gonna behave like a human, and that was like that like sense. It wasn't even like that he was mean. It was just like that's not a human, and his goals and what he has to do is not like a
reliant on human morality.
Yeah.
And I want to know more about little Uryu Ishida, okay?
I want to know more about that group.
Yeah.
So, like,
like they killed all of our people. Why? Why did the Soul Society kill all of your people?
Why do they hate your clan?
And how do you have a keychain bow? I want one too.
I want to know.
I'm sure you can find that on Crunchyroll.
I want to know what's happening. I literally just watched the ending, but I wasn't super paying attention. They resurrect him, right? Like he's not.
Everybody.
Yeah. Okay, everyone.
Everybody wakes up and doesn't remember anything the next day. It was all a dream.
Kind of not. Because he
like
probably remembers.
He's writing and he smirks like he remembers.
This is one of the things I do like about this, where they kind of, you know how sometimes they'll have this character who goes through this arc and like trains and becomes like really great. They showed him from the very beginning that he was not just super because of his like ability to see ghosts. He actually already had a massive amount of head start in terms of like training and like fight. So that like whole like arc of him like training and getting to where he was and like the constant things he was doing at that very last battle, it never felt like just genuine because of that.
It was like the training montage felt legit. Like it wasn't just like, oh, suddenly he's powerful. No, it's like he sucked for a long time and he still sort of sucked at the end, but just sort of still
like well over like any other human being like that would be in that position. So there wasn't like he was starting as like
he started here and then went up a little.
Yeah. Also translate towards that ending when you like see him and he opens the book and there's like that kind of like glint of like he actually does remember, because logistically it could work that he still remembers because he already is at this weird level where like his soul is different than any other human. He was able to break free from her spell and like that sort of thing. I feel like though he's supposed to not have remembered, it's still very plausible within the storyline that he would be the one to remember.
Yeah.
Also, what I liked about his character, he sort of like summed up himself, where he's like, I'm not noble enough to like go out of my way to help people, but if I see someone who needs help, I'm gonna help them. And you're like,
and there was that one scene, and you hear someone go help, and he's like, oh, bye.
And you're like, oh no, you are actually that guy, right? Like,
and he's got a very big. It's clear he has a very big affinity for children. He is not in like, and usually. I think usually in a drama or a movie, a character that has that big affinity for seeing children, usually because you're going to usually get the tragic backstory of how they were abused as a child, or they were orphaned, or they had a horrible, horrible upbringing and bad parents and stuff. But he has a happy life with a great family. Like, yes, it's sad that his mother died. His mother was a great person.
Yes, he has a good family and stuff, so it's interesting.
He just likes kids. He just doesn't want to, because like even that one scene, she goes, come on, there's like a horrible hollow, and he's like, no, I'm not going. And then he hears a kid like, oh no, help me, and he's like, I gotta go. Like,
he's like, well, I guess I'm going. Like
I can't. If it was just old people, I'd be like, whatever. But it's a kid, so I gotta go.
If it was an old person, I'd be like, they've lived long enough. It's fine. Like,
it's cool. They've had their life.
And you know what? Some people just like kids.
Yeah, and that
do not understand this myself, but
Well,
some people do.
I think also because he remembers his trauma at that age,
Yeah.
like he went through all that, and even then he was compassionate towards another kid.
Right?
It's true.
It was
He's
his
trying to like
compassion.
prevent that from like a kid's like having to deal with that. It probably also helps that his sisters are very young too. So like he
cute.
already has that.
I love the sisters.
Those little
They were
actresses,
funny.
oh my goodness.
So good.
Like, were they actually twins, or was it like one person
No,
playing?
they were-
it?
No, because they were
I feel like they're
Oh, okay.
yeah, I think they're like different ages.
And definitely in the anime, they actually have different colored hair and stuff. So they're
Yeah, and I believe in the anime they know he can hear ghosts, and they used to be able to hear ghosts, but they can't anymore, but they still can sense it or something. There's definitely a tie.
The dad can't.
Mm-hmm.
One of the sisters can hear them. I don't know. I felt like they said they all could see them. They talked a little bit more about it in the first episode of the anime, but it was very quick. The one sister that got caught by the hollow, I think she was the one that they straight up said she can hear. And then pretty much the older sister is kind of like, in the anime she's even more cynical, but the older sister is a little bit more cynical, and she doesn't believe in ghosts, but she can kind of see them, and pretty much the younger sister is
And
like,
I sort of got like the sense, like from the movie anyway, that the mom could sense ghosts a little.
Probably, maybe.
Yeah,
So-
because
See
they
the
seemed
kid?
to know
Yeah.
immediately that like when
This
her
was a
son started
bad
going
deal.
to help that kid, she was like, no,
like,
no,
Yeah.
no, get
Yeah.
back, no.
Maybe she had a high spiritual thing too.
And they
Yeah.
inherited it.
But I was amazed at the similarities of like very much. We're at the dinner table. The dad says he's telling you stuff. I mean, that was in the anime. I mean, it was really interesting how similar they are, the scenes to the movie.
It is definitely like how you can take an anime that like, I mean, I don't know how many episodes this anime has, but I would guess like 24, like a normal anime or whatever, condense that down into a movie. And like, although it like, there are things that we keep on bringing up that like we wish we had more of, it didn't really deter like from your enjoyment of this film. So that like is interesting, like how you can
They did a good job.
condense it all down
really
and still
enjoyable.
be like a pretty solid little entertaining movie.
And though you're
Like,
curious and want to know more, you do not feel incomplete at the end. It's not like
No, like it's a complete story.
Mhm.
But like comparatively to like a bunch of the other anime movies I've seen, this is one of the better ones. Like, this is definitely one of the best. You know what else is pretty surprising though? All the fun content that we have over on Coffee with more to come. So if you like this podcast and you want some outtakes and all sorts of good times, and we're gonna have we got some big plans coming. We got like an epic fic that we're just gonna be exclusive to you people. We got all sorts of shit that's coming. It's going to be a good time. If you want to support the podcast, it's ko-fi.com/certified Nunas. You can send us a couple bucks that keep us in microphones and hosting fees. And, you're helping out your girls. If you don't have any money, that's cool. You can still listen to us for free. But just, tell a friend who you think would enjoy this podcast to give her a listen as well. Let's do a game. All right, Amanda, you hooked us up with a Mad Libs.
Okay.
All right, so give me an anime character.
Like an actual anime character?
Yep.
Hey, tell me.
Who?
Hey,
Sorry?
tell me from Escaflowne.
Tell me. Tell me. Thank you. I just
Tell
couldn't hear
me.
you.
All
All right, give me a place.
Kyoto,
Kyoto. Very nice. Give me a food.
Mochi,
Mochi. I need a female anime character.
Sailor Moon.
Usagi. Nice choice. All right, a character. It does not specify where this character can be from.
Shinji.
Nice. A verb with ed added to the end.
trained,
Trained. Okay.
Trained. Nice. Okay, 1 second. A statement. Any phrase you want.
Love, peace, and donuts.
Love, peace, and donuts.
Trigun, come on.
I'm there. Okay. A thing or an item.
A necklace.
Sword.
A sword. Okay. A body part. Keep it clean.
nose,
A nose. Okay. Your favorite male anime character.
Favorite.
Larva from Vampire Princess Mio.
Sorry, can you just repeat that?
Larva. It's
Larva.
like
Got
larva.
it. Okay.
Larva.
Another item.
Lunchbox.
Lunch. I'll just put bento.
There you go.
A place.
A park.
Another two. Give me 2 anime characters.
Spike.
Spike. I need another one.
Aeon Flux. Aeon, whatever her name is.
Aeon.
Yeah.
Okay. And a scary or threatening thing. It can be living or inanimate.
Trump.
All right. Let's go. Okay. Me and my friend Hitomi went to Kyoto, where we were eating mochi all day long until we were full. We both decided later to walk down the street, and then we encountered Usagi. While we were talking to her, Shinji came out of nowhere and trained on us all of a sudden for no reason, and then ran away. After an awkward moment, I decided to go home and said, well, love, peace, and donuts to both of my friends. On the way home, I tripped on a sword and broke my nose. Someone asked me if I was okay and tried to help me up. When I looked up, it was Larva, who seemed to have an angelic aura to him in my vision. He offered a bento to me to stop the nosebleed that I had and took me to the park to see a doctor, Dr. Spike, who was my doctor, and his nurse was nice. I thought everything was going to be fine, Dr. Spike, until I saw Nurse Aeon pull out the Trump. The end. Delightfully nonsensical.
Oh,
Like, to be honest, pulling out the Trump, that was...
The part where she came and trained on us.
He came and trained on us. Woo!
Whoa.
Ooh! Shinji, calm down. Shinji, jeez.
Well, he's a little antisocial.
Just touch. Well, anyway, so final thoughts. Just if you have anything else to say about the film. Go watch it. It was good. It gets like an 8.5 out of 10 from me.
It was that's what I rated it at.
Good.
It's enjoyable, and it's well made and well acted, and they can all get it. If you want there. If you want some some eye candy, it's got that for you too, ladies and gentlemen. We do not judge what you're into. They're hot. That's all I'm saying. It's hot people doing hot stuff with swords.
And literally attractive for everybody. Like,
oh yeah, there's someone.
There's daddies. There's
someone in there for everyone. Like, there's a little something for anything you're looking for.
And just a fun story.
Yeah,
also, a fun story. Things kind of blow up, and people hit stuff and hit each other, and
there's no romance, which is kind of refreshing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like it's really
Japanese entertainment.
Yeah. You don't need romance all the time. Sometimes you just need to stab some demons in the face.
It's just implied. It's not the main story.
Yeah, y'all, it's all good in the hood, y'all. Anyway, this has been another fantastic, I hope, episode of the Certified Nunas, where we talked the movie Bleach, and also we went on about anime for quite a while. So clearly we enjoy that as well. So you can listen to us wherever you're listening to us now, but we're also on Spotify, Stitcher, but we're on Podbean, obviously, iTunes and Google Play, and even YouTube. We put all the things up there. Well, I say we, but Jessie puts all the things up there for us because she's amazing. If you want to support this podcast, please go to ko-fi.com/certifiednews and buy us a coffee. We hope you have a fantastic day and keep watching Asian entertainment. Bye!
Bye.
Bye.